guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Tour YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another new crochet tutorial, and this time it's another one from Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. So I've had a few comments from people asking me to keep making patterns from Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, and I'm more than happy to keep doing so. So if there's any particular Pokemon that you want, then do comment it down below and I'll add it to my request list, but otherwise I'm just going to make the ones that I like the most probably, or ones that I think I could do a good job of crocheting. So anyway, without further ado, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make Tandemaus. So this is my Tandemaus. So it's obviously just made as two separate mice, and then it's up to you whether you want to actually join them together or not. I decided to join them together so that they can't actually be separated, but it's completely up to you what you want to do with that. And yeah, this was also a request specifically from CWDC Ferg as well, so thank you for your request. It's funny actually because I think when you'd commented I was already working on this pattern, so it was quite fortunate that this was one that you wanted. So I hope you like this pattern, and yeah, if you want to learn how to make this, then do keep watching. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: white and light blue. Then you'll be needing a small amount of black yarn. This is just for adding some of the details, such as the nose details. You'll also want some black embroidery thread for adding other face details, such as for the nose and also for the ears. Now you could just use either black embroidery thread or black yarn, but because I wanted some lines to be thicker and some lines to be thinner, I'm using both in this tutorial. Then you'll be needing your crochet hook. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook to go with my aran weight yarn, but if you're using a heavier or lighter weight of yarn you can size up or down as required. You'll be needing a yarn needle for sewing pieces together. You'll want a stitch marker to keep track of the rounds. I'm just using a offcut of yarn for this. You'll need some stuffing. You'll need more than this, but this is just to demonstrate. You'll also be needing some safety eyes. You can obviously crochet the eyes if you want to instead, but I'm just using, let me just show you better. I am using these 10mm safety eyes, and obviously I've got the backs for those as well there. Then finally you'll want some scissors as well. So that's everything that you'll be needing for this tutorial. Now before we start, I thought I'd just explain to you how this tutorial is going to work. So due to the nature of what Tandemaus is, it's effectively just two mice joined together. But one thing to note is that there is one slight difference between the two mice, and that is that one of them has a light blue top, whereas one of them has light blue legs and a white top. So that's going to be the only difference between the two, but other than that you're just going to need to repeat the same steps twice. Now obviously I've made my first one already because I wanted to make sure that the pattern was working and everything. So now in this video I'm going to make the other one with you. So in the video I'm going to make the one that has the light blue legs, but obviously, and I'll remind you of this at the end of the first one, you're going to want to repeat all those steps once more, but just making sure that the one of them has a light blue top and one of them has a white top. But other than that, all of the rounds and all of the assembly and everything like that will be exactly the same. We're going to start by crocheting the head first, so you're going to need your white yarn for this. For round one you're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's round one. Then for round two you're just going to increase all the way around, and that's going to get you up to 12 single crochets at the end of round two. So just work 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. Okay, so at the end of round two you should have 12 single crochets all the way around. I'm just going to talk you through the next few rounds, as they're just standard increase rounds in increments of 6, and then also some rounds of single crocheting all the way around. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase and repeat 5 more times to get you up to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6 to 7 single crochet all the way around. Round 8, 4 single crochet increase, repeat 5 more times to get you up to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. Then rounds 9 to 13 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you finish round 13, as in round 14 we're going to start doing some decrease rounds. So I've completed round 13 and this is what it's looking like. I'm just going to start round 14 now, and as mentioned we're going to be doing some decreases now. So for round 14 you're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets, and then you're going to just do a decrease over the next 2 stitches just like this. So I'll show you that once more. 4 single crochets, and a decrease. So you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around. 4 single crochet, decrease. You should need to do that 6 times, and that'll get you down to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. So this is what it's looking like at the end of round 14. There's just a couple more decrease rounds that we need to do now. So for round 15 you're going to do 3 single crochet, decrease, and repeat that 5 more times to get you down to 24 single crochets. Then round 16, 2 single crochet, decrease, repeat 5 more times to get you down to 18. So I'll meet you when you finish round 16. Okay, so round 16 is the final round of the head. So what you're going to want to do is just cut your yarn, leaving quite a long tail for sewing. I think it's best to leave too much, then if you don't need it, then that's fine. So just do that, and you can pull that yarn tail through now. So that is the head complete. We're going to move on to working the legs now, so you're going to want your light blue yarn for this. So for round 1 you're going to do 5 single crochets in a magic circle. Sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. So that's round 1. Then for round 2 you're going to increase all the way around, and that's going to get you up to 10 single crochets at the end of the round. Okay, so that's the end of round 2, and I've got my 10 single crochets. Now for rounds 3 to 4 you're simply going to single crochet all the way around, so I'll meet you at the end of round 4. So this is what it's looking like at the end of round 4. I'm just going to cut my yarn. You don't really need to leave a tail, just a little tail, so that you can crochet over that to sort of secure everything in place later on. But that's the first leg. So you're just going to repeat all of those steps again. So repeat rounds 1 to 4 exactly the same as we just did there. But on the second leg, just don't cut the yarn, leave your yarn on the hook. And then what we're going to do is in round 5, we're going to join this leg to the other one that we're going to make now. So I'll meet you when you finish round 4 of your second leg. So I've got to the end of round 4 and now I'm ready to join these 2 legs together. I would recommend you using your stitch marker at this point so that you can keep track of the round that we're going to do now. So for round 5 you're going to start off by doing 5 single crochets in the leg that's currently on your hook, and I'm just marking that first stitch. So that's 1, I'm going to do 4 more. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to work 10 single crochets around your second leg, and you want to make sure that this final single crochet here isn't actually the final single crochet you work in, just because it makes it a little bit easier to crochet over that tail. So that's the only thing. Other than that, it doesn't really matter which single crochet you start working in. So I might pick this one for example. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just make sure that you hold on to that tail when you're crocheting into this stitch. 6, and then for the rest of the 10 you're going to want to crochet over that tail, so 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you're going to want to work 5 single crochets back into that first leg that we worked in the round. So if you need to know which single crochet to work in first, you can always count back from the stitch marker. So we know we're going to work 5, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the first one that we're going to work in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's round 5 complete. So what you should end up with, as you can see here, is 2 legs that are joined together now, and now we can just continue working in the round to build up the body. So round 6 is going to be 4 single crochet increase, and repeat that 3 more times to get you up to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Then round 7 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you when you're about to do your final single crochet of round 7, as we're going to change to white in this stitch. So just about to do my final single crochet of round 7, and as I mentioned, I'm going to change colour to white. So just start your single crochet as normal, but then instead of yarning over in your light blue and pulling through the loops on your hook, do so in white instead. And now we've changed our colour, so we're ready to start round 8 in our white colour. So for round 8, you're simply going to single crochet all the way around in your white colour. I'd recommend for the first few single crochets crocheting over both of these tails, maybe just the first 2 or 3 like this. Then just pull on them slightly to make sure that they're not too visible underneath the stitches. Do a couple more single crochets, not crocheting over the tails, and then just cut this blue tail. You can cut the white one as well if you want, but I'm just going to leave that probably on the inside of the body. So yeah, so for round 8 I'm simply going to single crochet all the way around in white. Just going to talk you through the final rounds for the body now. So for round 9 you're going to do 4 single crochet decrease and repeat 3 more times to get you down to 20 single crochets at the end of the round. Rounds 10 to 11 single crochet all the way around. Then round 12 decrease 8 single crochet, decrease 8 single crochet, and that should get you down to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. So I'll meet you at the end of round 12. So I finished round 12 and this is what it's looking like. Now in terms of finishing off, it's completely up to you. If you want to, you can just simply slip stitch into the next stitch like that, then cut your yarn. Don't worry about leaving a tail for sewing because we've already left the tail on the head, and that's what we're going to be using to sew down. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do the slip stitch, I'm going to finish off with a fake single crochet, and if you've watched any of my tutorials previously, you know that I like to use this method quite a lot. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail so that I have enough to do this with. Then I'm just going to flip my work so that it's this way round. I'm going to skip the next single crochet, go into the one after that, pull my yarn tail through, go back to the final single crochet of the final round in the closest loop to us currently, so this one here, pull the yarn tail through, and then that just means that we finished with that fake single crochet there, and it's just harder to tell where the round ended. Obviously we're going to be sewing the head on top of this, so it doesn't really matter if this finishing part isn't that neat, but this is just my preferred way to finish. Then I'm going to simply knot that yarn tail on the inside of the body because we don't need that anymore, because like I say, we've already got our yarn tail for the head, so we can just knot this. Obviously if you forgot to leave a yarn tail on the head, then you could leave a tail for the body and use that to sew instead, but I don't need to do that. So that's that. Then the other thing I'm going to do before we start sewing the head down is I'm just going to stuff the body, so you're going to want to just grab some stuffing and completely fill up the body. Now that I've stuffed the body, I'm going to sew the head down. You'll notice that I haven't stuffed the head at this point, neither have I added the eyes, and that is intentional. I'm going to add those bits when I get about halfway round finished sewing it down, because I just want to make sure that I'm positioning things properly so that they're sitting in the right sort of area of the face. And I find it easier to do that once I've already started sewing down a little bit. So I've got my yarn needle. I'm going to go through this next single crochet here, and I'm going to start by sewing that one down. Now there's 18 single crochets at the end of the round for the head and also at the end of the final round for the body, so you should just be able to sew them down 1:1 ratio. So I like to do the back to start with, because that's probably going to be the messiest part, so I can hide that at the back of my work. But obviously you can do whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to be starting to sew round like this. I'm going to be doing a whip stitch, so I'm going to immediately go back into the head, then through the body. Whoa, sorry, that one went flying. Like that. Then head to body. I'm just going to do that until I get around to, like I say, about halfway round, so maybe sewing down 9 stitches in total. Then I'll show you what I do to stuff the head and add the eyes. Okay, so I've actually sewn down about 12 stitches, so I've got 6 left to do, but this gives me enough space to add stuffing and to put the safety eyes into the head. So now at this point I can kind of see how the head is going to sit on the body, as you can see here, and I can make a good decision about where I'm actually going to place the eyes. So we're going to place the eyes between rounds 11 and 12, so I'm just going to count down to find where that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is round 11 and this is round 12, so we want to pick some of these gaps in between those two rounds, and they want to be about 8 single crochets apart. So I'm going to think maybe I'll put one of the eyes here, so I'm just going to place my needle in there while I grab the eye. So I'm thinking maybe one here. And then if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hang on, let me start that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So maybe here or here. Let me grab my other eye. Let's try here and see what that looks like. I'm thinking, I think that might be okay actually. Yeah, I think that should be fine. So once you're happy with the positioning of the eyes, you can then actually apply the backs like this. And the other one. And then you're going to want to add your stuffing, so stuff firmly, then just continue and finish off sewing all the way around. So I'll meet you when you've done that. I actually just want to be completely real with you and show you something that just happened there. So what happened is I added all of the stuffing to the head, and I actually realised that I wasn't happy with the positioning of this eye, and I felt it needed to move over 1 stitch to the left. Now if you have a similar issue, don't worry, all you need to do is just remove all of that stuffing. And then what I did was, as you can see here, I snipped the back of the safety eye so that I could actually take the back off. Then I just moved the eye to where I wanted it to be, and then because it's mostly intact, I did just use the same back again. Now obviously if this toy is going to go to a child or something, do not do this. Use a fresh back so that you can make sure that it's 100% safe, but because this is just literally going to be displayed on a shelf, I don't really care that much if the eye did fall out. So I've just used that same back again, and then now I can just add my stuffing again, and hopefully this time I'm happy with the positioning of the eyes. So yeah, obviously I haven't finished sewing all the way around now, but I think once I've done that and once I've kind of got the stuffing in the right positioning as well, I think I'm going to be a lot happier with that. So yeah, that's just a little tip for you there if you have the same issue. Okay, so this is what it looks like now that I've sewn all the way around. I'm really glad that I did end up changing the positioning of this eye, so if you didn't see that, just skip back a little bit in the video and see what I did. But basically I found that I didn't like how I had originally done it, so I just made an amendment before I finished sewing all the way around. Now once you've done this, you can just weave your yarn tail through the head or the body, anywhere you want really, on the back, maybe a couple of times just to really secure it in there. Try not to pull too tightly, otherwise you might accidentally misshape the head, but that should be fine. And then you can just cut that tail because we don't need that anymore. Okay, so this is what we have now. What we'll move on to next is making the ears. Okay, so this is what one of the ears looks like. Obviously we're going to need two, so I'm going to make the other one with you now. So we're going to need our white yarn for this, and we're going to be working in rows, but as you can see, we're going to be working like a semicircle, so our rows will be worked like that. You'll see what I mean in a second. So for row 1, I know it sounds weird saying row when we're working in a magic circle, but you're going to do 5 single crochets into a magic circle. Then you're going to pull on this yarn tail to close up the hole. We can deal with the yarn tail later when we're sewing the ear down, so don't worry about that for now. Then what you're going to do is chain 2 and turn, and now we're ready to start row 2. So every time we do a chain 2, that's going to count as a double crochet. So we've done our first double crochet by doing that. So what we're going to do in row 2 is work 2 double crochets into each stitch, and that's going to get us up to 10 double crochets at the end of the round. So we're going to need to work another double crochet into this stitch. So to do that, yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up another loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. So that's our first double crochet increase done. So we're going to do 4 more of those. So working 2 double crochets into each stitch, remembering that your chain 2 counts as a double crochet. Okay, so that's the end of row 2. You should have 10 double crochets. For row 3, we're once again going to chain 2 and turn, and that's going to count as a double crochet. So in row 3, you're going to do 2 double crochet in the same stitch, then 1 double crochet, so a double crochet increase, and then just 1 double crochet. So we've done our first one, we're going to do another double crochet in this stitch. So we've now got 2 double crochets. Then, oh, I don't know what's happened here, got a bit of blue yarn mixed in with that. Probably should pick that up. I'll deal with that in a second. Then we're going to do another double crochet in the next stitch. Then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Then 1 double crochet. And just repeating that to the end of the row. And remember that you're going to work your final double crochet into your chain 2, so just kind of poke your hook through it somewhere. It doesn't really matter where you work it, and just do that final double crochet. So that's the end of row 3. You should have 15 double crochets. I'm going to deal with this blue bit here, and then we'll move on to the final row, which is row 4. So for row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn this time. This chain 1 doesn't count as anything, so you can ignore this chain now. And what we're going to do is we're going to work a mixture of single crochets and double crochets in this row. So we're going to start off by working 2 single crochets, and just remember again that chain doesn't count as anything, so you're actually going to need to work 2 single crochets like this. Then we're going to work a double crochet increase in the next stitch. Then 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, so sorry, 1 double crochet in each stitch, we're not doing any increasing there. Then a double crochet increase in the next stitch. Then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Then another double crochet increase in the next stitch. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, a double crochet increase in the next stitch, two double crochets, a double crochet increase in the next stitch, then finally 2 single crochets, and the final single crochet will be worked into the chain 2 that you did at the start of row 3. So again, doesn't really matter where you do it, just somewhere within that chain 2 like that. And that is the ear complete. So then just cut your yarn, leaving a fairly long tail for sewing, and make 2 exactly the same, and I'll show you how we sew these to the head. I've sewn down one of the ears, I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I'd recommend using a couple of pins just to keep it in place. You want the ears to be 2 or 3 rounds away from each other, I would say, at the top, and then sort of coming down just slightly below the eye level at the bottom. So for sewing this down, I'm just going to do a whip stitch. So I'm going to start off by going into one of the stitches of the head, near where my pin is, like that, and then I'm just going to do a whip stitch, as I mentioned, all the way along the front of the ear. Just like this. So I'm just going to do that until I get to the bottom of the ear. I've got to the bottom of the ear and I've sewn all the way down. Now you could sew along the back as well if you want it to be extra secure, but I find that this is going to be enough, so I'm just going to leave it like this. So now you can just weave your yarn tail through to the back of the head, and also if you've still got a tail remaining from your first row, then you're going to want to just also weave that through to the back of the head, and then you can just cut all of your tails that you have. Okay, so once you've sewn down both ears, you should have something that looks like this. I think the next thing that we're going to move on to is adding the nose details, and then also the little black stripes on the ears as well. So you're going to need your black embroidery thread and your black yarn for this if you're using both like I am. I'm going to start with my black embroidery thread and add the little cross between the eyes. I'm going to leave a bit of a tail with the black embroidery thread here because I might actually use this to also add these stripes on the ears, try and be a bit clever with it. So I'm just trying to map out roughly where I'm going to make the cross. I think, let me see, I might go into this part here and then come back out through here. Yeah, I think that's roughly probably what I want, and then I'm gonna do another cross. I think, where am I gonna go? maybe roughly there. Let's try that and see what it looks like. Okay, I think that's not too bad actually, so I'm probably just going to leave it like that. Obviously you can always just take your embroidery thread out and redo it if you need to. So that's that. Then obviously, like I said, we're going to use the black embroidery thread to do the little lines on the ears, so don't cut it yet, but I might just add the nose next now, just to make sure that I'm happy with the finished look of the nose. So you're going to need your black yarn for this. So with my black yarn, I'm just going to bring this round to one of the stitches near the black cross that we just done. And I'm going to do, I think, 2 lines for the nose. So I'm going to start one here. And we're going to work over that cross as well when we do the nose. So something like that, although it might be alright. Then I'm going to do another line underneath that. It's gonna have to go up a little bit. Try that. That's not too bad actually. I might have a little play around with that and maybe undo some of it and just keep redoing it until I get something I'm happy with. Obviously on the first mouse that you make, it doesn't really matter, but you want to make sure that when you're doing your second mouse that it's kind of consistent between the two. So I can see the nose looks a little bit smaller on this one, so I might just have another go at that and try and make it a bit smaller. But yeah, that's the gist of what you need to do for the nose. I neatened up the nose a little bit, and this is what the final nose looks like. Now I'm going to add the lines to the ears. So you're going to just want to use your black embroidery thread for this and literally just add 4 lines to each ear like this. So you're going to go through the ear, then I think it looks best if you go through the back of the ear to then bring your yarn to wherever you, sorry, your embroidery thread to wherever you're going to go next. So here, for example, just make sure that you don't have knots at the back. There we go, like that. And then just do another line like that. And then just repeat the same thing, go through the back, do another one, and do 4 in total, and you're going to need to do that on both sides. So I'll meet you when you finish that. Just wanted to show you what it looks like when I've added the lines. So as you can see, they're not perfect, they're a little bit wonky, but I think that almost makes them look a bit more realistic. So I've just done that, and then you can just weave your tails through to the back of the head, and then I'm just going to snip all of these. I think it's best to do it at the back of the head so that if there is any slight bits of black that are poking through that you can see, then at least it's hidden at the back. So I'm going to cut those, then we're going to move on to making the arms. So I've gone ahead and made one of the arms. I'm going to do the other one with you now. So you can see there's a little thumb there, and then the rest of it is just the arm. So for round 1, you're going to start off by doing 8 single crochets in a magic circle. So that's round 1. Then for round 2, you're going to start off by doing 4 single crochets. I'm just going to double check to make sure I'm working into the right stitch to start with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the first one. So I'm going to go 1, and I'm going to mark the first stitch as well so I don't lose track of what I'm doing. So 1, 2, I'm going to work a 4 single crochet popcorn stitch. So to start this, you just need to work 4 single crochets into the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then what you're going to do is slightly leave yourself some yarn there, remove your hook, then count back 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 to the first single crochet you did in that stitch, put your hook through there, then put that loop back on your hook and pull through like this, and that's that done. So that's your 4 single crochet popcorn. Then you're just going to do 3 single crochets to finish the round. So you've got your 4 single crochets, your 4 single crochet popcorn, and then your 3 single crochets here, and that popcorn stitch counts as just 1 stitch there, so it doesn't count as 4, it just counts as 1. So now we're ready to start round 3. So for round 3 you're simply going to do 8 single crochets, so just single crochet all the way around, and I will show you this just so that in case you're a bit confused as to how you crochet into the popcorn stitch. So that's 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 5th one you're going to go into that popcorn stitch. 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's round 3 complete. So I'm just going to talk you through the remaining few rounds of the arm now. So for round 4, single crochet all the way around. Round 5, 2 single crochet decrease, 2 single crochet decrease to get you down to 6. Then round 6, single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 6. So this is what it looks like at the end of round 6. I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail for sewing. And then you're going to want to add a light amount of stuffing, so not too much, that might even be too much. And to put that in, you can just use the other side of your crochet hook, or you can actually use your scissors as well to put it in. So just like that. Like I say, you want it to be fairly light, so I'm definitely not going to add any more than that. And then you're going to obviously want to make 2 of these. You make them both in the exact same way, so come back when you've got 2 and I'll show you how to sew them to the body. When you sew this down, you're going to want to make sure that the thumb is facing towards you, so make sure that this one is sewn like this, and then on the other side you'd have it so that it's like that. And I'm just going to roughly position it. You can use pins if you want, but I'm not going to be using any for this. And I'm just going to be sewing along the top to start with, so I'm going to do a whip stitch along the top of the arm. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 stitches. So this is my second one. 2, and then I'm going to do, so that's 3. And then you're just going to want to sew down a couple of stitches at the back as well, and then a couple at the front. So I'm going to do 1, 2 at the back. I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, and then sew down a couple of stitches at the front as well. So 1, 2, and just double check that you're happy with that. If you are, then you can just weave your yarn tail to the back. It's also up to you. You could sew down these stitches as well, so I might actually just quickly do that as well, but you don't have to because it's pretty secure just doing it along the top and at the sides. But just for completeness, I'll do a couple of stitches here so I get back to the back like that. If you do that, the arm will kind of sit a little bit higher up than if you wouldn't have sewn down those bits, but it doesn't matter. It's completely up to you how you want it to look. And then I'm just going to weave that yarn tail to the back, and that's what the arm looks like when it's been sewn down. So I just need to do the one on the other side now. It's going to be the same thing, so I won't show you that. And then we're nearly done for the first mouse. Then we just need to crochet the tail and also add that to the back. So this is what it looks like with both the arms sewn down. Now I have skipped ahead and made the tail because it's very simple, so I'll just talk you through the rounds now. So for round 1 you're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle, round 2 single crochet all the way around, round 3 single crochet decrease to get you down to 4 single crochets, then rounds 4 to 7 single crochet all the way around. Don't add any stuffing and just cut your yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. That's the tail. Now we're going to sew this to the back of Tandemaus. I'm going to whip stitch all the way around, sew this down. Should be fairly quick because it's just 4 stitches to sew down. Just do one more to finish it off. Oh, sorry, I went out of frame a little there. And that's it, that's the tail sewn down. It's that simple. Then you're just gonna again weave your yarn tail through the body and cut that. So that is our first mouse complete. This is what it looks like. So yeah. So now you simply need to repeat all the same steps you did for this first mouse, and the only difference being that you make the legs with your white yarn and you change to light blue at the end of round 7, I believe it was, of the body. So where you would have changed to white before, you're changing to light blue this time. Everything else is exactly the same, so you should end up with 2 mice that look the same other than the inverted colours on the body and legs. So come back when you've got that and then I'll show you an optional next step of what you can do. So when you've got your 2 mice, you could leave them separate like this, or if you want to, what you could do is just take some white yarn, just a little length of white yarn, and you can sew 2 ears together like this. So you want to make sure that the one with the blue top is on the right and the one with the blue trousers is on the left, because that's how they're positioned in the game. I believe it's always the same. That's how I've seen it on pictures anyway. And then what you can do is overlap these ears so that the one on the right, the ear is in front of the one on the left, just like this. And then you could just weave your yarn tail. Oh, sorry, I got some other bits and pieces there by accident. If you just weave your yarn tail through like this, then you can just try and do some subtle stitches to sew the 2 ears together, and that just means that the mice will stay together and they won't get separated. So it really depends on what you're going to want to do with these mice, whether you want to do that or not. But I'm just going to do a few stitches to make sure that they stay together. Even just like 3 will probably do it. So I'll do one more there, just like that. So now you can see that even if I pull them, they won't come apart, and that might be what you want to do. Then you can just knot the yarn tails at the back a little bit just to secure them in place, and then you want to weave in those ends and cut them. But that's just an example of what you could do. It's completely fine if you want to leave them separated as well. This is what my finished Tandemaus looks like. I decided to keep them conjoined in the end, so you can see as I pick them up they're joined together, and I just, like I say, weaved in the yarn tail from the white so that you can't see that anymore. But yeah, that's what the finished product looks like. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. I might do a little mouse hold video as well, like do a couple of extension little baby mice that you could add to this if you want to make mouse hold as well. That shouldn't be too difficult to make, I guess. It's just adapting this pattern. So let me know in the comments below if you want mouse hold as well. But yeah, that's it for this video. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.